vision in terms of creating the behind-the-scenes footage for the new Super Duke, or the Beast as it's commonly known, was to make our research and development team the actual hero of the story, because they are.
Okay.
My name is Christopher Hertz.
Georg Schamberger.
Janina Müller.
My name is Robert Wörrer. I work as a chief engineer powerpack at KTM.
I'm the system engineer.
Have been project manager for the LC8 suspension.
And I'm the interdisciplinary chief engineer for the 1390 Super Duke R.
We started with the new engine. It was 4 years ago, and we thinking about what we could bring to a new level, or what's the new parts, and we think, we should bring a complete new engine to give the customer a new feeling of riding. And for us it was that we really want to increase the torque and the power, and we was at the beginning thinking about how we can bring it to a new level, and for us it was clear that we have to make a bigger bore, to make a bigger displacement of the whole engine, to increase from 1290 to 1350, and also to bring a completely new system, the camshaft system.
In 2021, when we first tested the bike in direct comparison to the 1290 Super Duke R, at first you wouldn't expect that much of a difference actually, but the power that the engine delivers was really impressive, even though the 1290 Super Duke R already has impressive power output. But then again, within the 2 years of development up until now, we managed to still refine all these factors, and it's not only a small update, but really it feels like a completely different bike.
Some colleagues say the bike will not be the limiting factor.
The proudest moment for me was when we going on the test bench with the first prototype and see, okay, it's now running really on the test bench. It's like, it's a baby is born. This feeling is so amazing, and when I'm thinking back about this moment, I only get the goosebumps on my arms. This was, for me, it's more the feeling you can really, let me say in this way, when I go out the first time with the new engine, with the new bike, I have such a big smiling in my face, because you can really feel that the new generation of the Beast has so much more torque and low RPMs, and you can feel that. And that is for me that's a new benefit for the customers.
Starting from our very test in 2021, we were already better than the current 1290 Super Duke R Evo. That was already quite a successful start back then. And during that time, the 1290 Super Duke R Evo wasn't even in the market. So we were basically at the end of the development of that vehicle project, and then just starting with the new vehicle project. So we knew we already were on the right track.
The difference from this new model to the old model is actually a lot. It's already starting by the engine, which is really, most of it is new with the bigger bore. Then I go up, actually there is then the new throttle body, there is the new airbox, which is a little lower, where we could gain actually more gasoline volume. We have new electronics, we have the completely new suspension, which is really a step forward. We aimed actually to a lighter headlight. We saved here 0.5 kilo. We gained some benefit also for the rider. When you're actually riding in corners in the night, there was always the hard line where it was completely bright and next to it was completely dark. And with the new headlamps in the front, with the high and low beam, there's also some stray light, and so you do see now also in the corners. Actually preparing a test means always we have to look for sure for a track where we can test. We choose our tracks by the weather, by the layout, by the thermal conditions. In the beginning actually we had a little concerns about this track, that it's too fast. But riding around this track showed us that this track has actually everything. It has fast corners, slow corners, some really technical corners, but also straight with a brake point with 260 kilometers per hour and more. So it got everything.
Almeria is one of the most technically challenging circuits in Europe. So we're testing cornering ABS, we're testing traction control settings, as I said, with street tires, with slick tires, both. And Almeria really lends itself well as a test track.
A test rider for us is so important because you get values from the test bench, but you never get from the test bench what a rider is feeling. So Jeremy is one of the best motorcycle riders in the world, and you get so much input from him that nobody can say to you, or a test bench can say to you, about that feeling, what the engine is doing.
I'm Jeremy McWilliams. I've been a test rider for 12 years now with KTM. First project was back in 2011 when we started with the 1290 Super Duke, and I've been involved with the evolution of the Super Duke all the way from then until the present day, now when we're launching the 1390. When they told us that we were getting 1390, we couldn't quite believe it. We got a call, hey, we're moving up to 1390 on the Super Duke. Wow, okay. That's going to be fun. How are we going to do that? Then we heard about the step cam motor, and that was even more exciting again. And then getting to ride it the first time was like, wow, okay, this is obviously a big step up from where we already were. We're here in Almeria, final testing with KTM 1390 Super Duke R and 1390 Super Duke R Evo. Kind of difficult to imagine what goes into a test team, but we have lots of small teams within the big team, starting with our chief engineer, Jörg, and then right down to our trusted mechanics that we work with day in, day out. Also, some of those small teams within the test team, ranging from our Bosch electronic engineers all the way to our wheels and brakes guys, our ergo guys, our aftermarket power parts guys. So there's lots of small teams that make up this test team. We are testing semi-active suspension, putting the final tweaks on circuit here for track settings. We're doing the same with Apex WP standard suspension and also WP Apex power parts.
On the R, we have done a lot of investigations in the beginning to see if we could actually improve this technology even further. We are still very sporty. We have increased the comfort. We have more hold up, especially during load changes. And this gives it much more precision. It is much smoother to handle. It is overall a great step forward.
At the Almeria racetrack test, we exchanged also the suspension, the forks and the shocks to do back checks with previous versions, also to check with the TA versions.
To a certain point, we're trying to use functions that the motorsport uses successfully also in his vehicles. So there's a certain DNA that is transported from the MotoGP bike to the street bike.
As you can see, Hannes is out this morning testing some of those features.
Alter, das ist fett, Gaudi, wie ist mit der Feder?
Ja, es schaut vorweg, ist recht hart für das Gewicht.
Wir haben zwei Touren, da kann man schon noch was sein, oder?
One other feature that we're working on today is our throttle maps in conjunction with the Kravovic full system, because it's a little bit more horsepower. It takes a little bit more time to get that just right.
I changed on the third gear, the throttle response.
For testing the new features, we have to collect a lot of data from sensors which are mounted on the bikes. The wires then get collected in a small box in the tail of the bike. With the collected data saved in the box, which gets then put on the computer, you can compare it then with the laps before, and you see which change actually changed the settings on the bike.
Yeah, noticeable difference.
Okay, very good.
When you do a change in the setting, you feel it directly. It's not like on competitors that you do a change and you don't feel it, and you have to do another change and you try to think if you feel it. On this bike, you do a change and you feel it.
One of the new features that we've got on the KTM 1390 Super Duke R and R Evo is a function that enables the rider to not flip over when he's accelerating in second, third or fourth gear. But it's also got different levels of control. So it's a safety benefit, it's a safety feature. We had to name them in different levels, so we got very low, all the way to low, medium, high and then very high. Let me go and try some different levels. with fast laps, just to double check or back check that we don't need to change anything.
One test we had to test the anti-wheelie mode, and due to the fact I'm quite close to a perfect pillion rider, so from terms of the height and weight, I had to go on the back of the bike my harness was riding, and the managers of the proving ground stopped us and they asked us if we are crazy, why do we play around here like stupids? And we could prove them, no, we have to test this with the pillion to test the different height of the wheelies, if it does recognize actually the pillion also on the bike.
Medium is so much fun. I mean, I've convinced myself I could ride a medium all day. If I was chasing the lap time, probably keep it in low.
Okay.
And slip level 1 or 2.
Level 4, it's the blue line here at around 30-degree lean angle, between 7 and 8% slip.
Turn 8, third gear.
20% throttle.
We come here with both slicks and our Michelin Power GP to find a setting that works for both tires. Traction control settings might be slightly different on the street tire. You know, even though it's a sport, hyper sport tire, it's a very capable tire on the street, obviously, and we realise that it works very well on the track. Just making sure that every eventuality is covered for every customer that might want to bring the bike on track with the Power GP or whatever slick he decides to use, it's all covered.
Actually, I remember also some cool facts from the first impressions of our test riders. It was the first test on a racetrack. It was in Prin, and they went out with the old bike but with the new engine already inside. And they were so astonished by the beat of the camshaft. Jeremy actually said the bike goes then more vertical than horizontal.
Getting to test on track with our MotoGP team and our Moto2 team was pretty special as well. And it's pretty funny because, you know, the guys that turned up on the Moto2 bike, you know, we were able to run with them on the Moto2 bike. Our R&D team here, the motorsport team over here, and watching everybody on track together. Then making sure that we're keeping out of the way, but well, that was one to remember. First time we ever rode the 1390.
What makes me really proud is when riders sit the first time on the Super Duke and they come back from their test, they put the helmet off and they have a smile from here to here and are just happy and are astonished about this new Super Duke.
It's been a long journey developing the 1390 Super Duke R. Everything from the brand new semi-active suspension settings, our new software that we used in those settings, our new hardware, you know, our new suspension settings. That it's been a lot of hard work, but also very rewarding because when we finish up on a day like this and everybody's happy and smiling and the bikes are all going back in the truck in one piece, which is always a good thing, then we know we've done a pretty good job. So super excited to see what happens when we get this bike to launch.
Now seeing this finished product, it was a big honor to me to be chief engineer of this project, to be part of this awesome team, and I really look forward to see people riding this bike out in the streets.